What's going on? I'm just going to go ahead and play yet another previous debate that Kent Hovind had, and I think it's only appropriate that we had Mark Reid on earlier, and this is just going to be more or less a watch-along. You can join if you want. However, I may be away from the computer while we just kind of play this and just go over this a little bit more. So without any more delay, I'm just going to go ahead and play the video, and we're just going to watch and enjoy.
All right, looks like we are live. Welcome to Standing for Truth. I am your host and moderator, Donnie Badinsky, for tonight's epic debate between Dr. Kent Hovind and Mark Reid. Tonight we are debating evolution. Is there reasonable evidence for evolution? And I do want to thank the debaters, Mark and Kent, for giving us their time for this important debate. And before we get into the debate itself, as I typically like to do, let's kind of get to know the debaters for tonight a bit, break the ice. And why don't we start with Mark? Mark, thank you so much for being here. You've been here several times, so I don't think you're any stranger to this platform, but how you been? A little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I've been great. Thank you. Thank you, Donnie. Yeah, I'm a computer sort of involved in IT, probably network engineering. It's called sort of communication side of things. I'm a student in that. I've worked in various fields of communication through the years, and I do enjoy debating. So, and Donnie's generous enough to give me a platform here, which is fantastic. So thank you so much for having me on, Donnie. Thank you to my interlocutor, Kent Hovind, for showing up and debating this amazing topic. And yeah, looking forward for the debate, looking forward to having a really good dialogue about evolution.
Me as well, Mark, and I appreciate that introduction to the audience. I do have Kent and Mark. I have the relevant links in the description box. For you, Mark, I just have links to previous debates that you've done. And you've actually done a debate with Kent in the past on Noah's Ark and Noah's Flood. Tonight's evolution. So this is...
Well, it was specifically the Ark. So I've never done a flood debate, as in sort of geological or anything like that, but that was specifically on the Ark itself.
On the Ark.
Yes.
And that one was a ton of fun, which guarantees this one to be a ton of fun as well. So, Mark, thank you so much for the opening.
No guarantees. No guarantees. I'll do my best.
I'm guaranteeing it. No, I'm just kidding. So, Kent, we're going to hand it over to you then. Introduction, how you been, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Dal.
All right. Well, thank you. My name is Kent Hovind. I've been a Baptist preacher 48 years. I started Dinosaur Adventureland in 1989. And we have 140 acres here in Lenox, Alabama. Visitors come from all over the world to see the place. It's all free. We have a science center with all kinds of cool activities on science and the Bible. We believe the Bible is true from cover to cover. The earth is about 6,000 years old. Dinosaurs lived with man all through history. They called them other names like dragons. There's no such thing as a geologic column. There's no such thing as a fossil record. No such thing. There's fossils, but it's not a record. So we defend the Bible from being true. We think the evolution theory being taught in our schools is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of the planet. And that's where we stand, okay?
All right, Ken, thank you so much for the introduction. Thanks to the both of you. So for the audience sake, Format for tonight is going to be mostly informal. We're going to have up to 10 to 12 minute opening statements. Mark's going to kick us off there. Then we'll give Kent 10 to 12 minutes, and then we're just going to get into a free-flowing discussion. So whatever topics or points are brought up in the openings, those are going to be the points that we make sure to focus on for the discussion. And we'll do our best to make this comprehensive in terms of evolution. Is there reasonable evidence for evolution? And I should mention, we are going to have, as always, an audience Q&A. So please, everybody in the chat, just make sure you're tagging me at Standing for Truth, and then that way I won't miss your question. So, okay, Mark, we're going to hand it over to you whenever you are ready for your opening statement.
Thank you, and I'll just share my screen here. I do apologize. Just one second. I probably should have got this set up. Two, fantastic. So just tell me when you're seeing that and everything's good there, Donnie.
Mark, it looks good. It's up on screen. Looks great.
Okay, so this is sort of my presentation on biological evolution. Now, you might sort of say evolution.
Let me go ahead and do something real quick.
Evolution, there's other types and things like that. Well, in common parlance, when we talk about evolution, we're talking about biological evolution. And this is sort of understood by most people, but I think there might be some confusion on this. So what's biological evolution? It's simply the change in heritable characteristics or the change in allele frequency over time. Now, there is no micro and macro evolution, doesn't exist, isn't a thing. All micro and macro refers to is time scale. It's exactly the same process. The mechanisms that are used can be things like artificial selection, which is people breeding traits into animals, these heritable characteristics, or it can be natural selection, which is generally what's found out in the wild. Now, I was asked for my strongest evidence. So the strongest evidence for evolution is genetic evidence. It is without question the strongest evidence we can come up with to date. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't sit by itself in an island. This matches up with all the other evidence out there, from fossil records to embryology to every single sort of field that says evolution is true. It matches up with. And those sort of lines of evidence are what give us a very, very confident justification for evolution. Now, the first off is genetic similarity. We are 95 to 98 similar, depending on the genetic code. So this is humans and your closest relatives, the chimpanzees. Now, the thing is that, like you're closer to your sister or your brother, as you get further away, like you'll be less genetically similar to your cousin, say, than your sister or brother, and then less genetically similar to the next distant relatives, just say your second nephew on your mother's side or something like that. That's exactly the same thing we see in animals. As we get further away from humans under the evolutionary model, the less genetically similar we are to them. And don't forget, we had the evolutionary model before we had genetics to confirm it. In fact, the creator of evolution, famous Darwin, he didn't even know about genetics. So that's just backing up what we've already found. Now, I've just included a couple of papers here, just pointing out that they're, almost identical, depending on how you evaluate it. 99 to 95% similarity. And I've just included those to show that there is a great similarity between them. This isn't a coincidence. And the way that animals are similar that we found after we found genetics shows that the model is true. And those were testable predictions. We predicted that they would be genetically similar. And just to have a look at the human and chimpanzee chromosomes. Now, what I'd like to draw your attention to, and I'll just grab my marker, is this section here, number 2. That's 2A and 2B on chimpanzees, while it's 2 on human. And that brings me into my next point, the chromosome 2 fusion. So chimps have 24 chimps have 24 pairs, so humans have 23 pairs. How do we know that it fused? This slide is 4 of the chromosomes for chimpanzee, human, chimpanzee, gorilla, and orangutan. Now, look at number 2, where we have the exact chromosome where it's fused together. And pay attention to how similar it is. The banding on it are exactly similar, just as if this section got fused to that section. All very similar. Now, here's the structure of the chromosome 2 in particular. Now, what we have on this chromosome is at the ends we have telomeres, which basically signal the end point of this chromosome, and on the bottom as well. And this section here is called a centromere. Now, it has a number of functions. It joins up to another chromosome to make a chromatid during the replication process. But basically, with all chromosomes, you'll find telomeres on the outside and centromeres on the inside. And we have that with the chimpanzee. You have telomeres there and there, there and there, while you have centromeres on the inside. So it follows that if there was a fusion, we should see telomeres in the center where they shouldn't be, and we should also have another centromere where it should not be. And that's exactly what we found. That's exactly what the scientists found. They found that the chromosome 2 has telomeres in the center, and a second remnant, sort of a fragments of a second centromere down here, number 2. So it's got one centromere and it's got fragments of a second. So does that mean that, chimpanzees birthed humans? No, absolutely not. What it means is that a more primitive ancestor millions of years ago had 2 chromosome 2, or 2A and 2B, like chimpanzees, but while chimpanzees kept the 2, the humans ones fused together. And just to note, things don't jump sideways on the tree of life. So this is a part of the tree of life that we call, or the phylogenetic tree. Things don't jump from branch to branch. That does not happen. So if you're saying, hey, did a human get birthed by a chimpanzee? No, never. Things don't jump sideways on those branches. It only keeps going. So we're not saying that any modern animal gave birth to another modern animal. What we're saying is that they had an ancestor, a common ancestor that gave birth to both. Now, this happened millions of years ago. So if there was another divergence, it would take millions of years. Now, the second point of, or really the third, apart from genetic similarity and the fusion, is endogenous retroviruses. And, you may have seen that on the channel before. They basically work on, and this is sort of a diagram of how they work. They're an RNA entering the cell and using an enzyme called reverse transcriptase to cut into, it uses integrase to cut into, and then the reverse transcriptase sort of copies them into the DNA of its host. The host then transfers it to DNA and replicates it, which allows it to spread. So it's then uses transcriptase to then produce more of itself and spread and spread and spread. Now, the structure is always the same for endogenous retroviruses. You have the long terminal repeats are always the boundary of the viral element, with the GAG, POL, and ENV sections of the the virus. Now, the way that it works is that these retroviruses, they're in every single cell of your body. So every single cell is replicated with the coding for the viruses already there. The only way this can happen is because of the enormous number of insertion points or places they can enter the cell. And I'll just sort of, they can enter sort of, they can enter here. Oops, sorry. They can enter kind of here or here or here or here, but there's 10 million places they can enter and attach them, insert themselves into the DNA. Because that's the case, the only way that that particular virus could insert itself to be duplicated all the way through the body in exactly the same place is if it is done in the germline. Now, the germline is just a fancy way of saying the egg or the sperm. It has to have inserted itself in there. And then it becomes fixed in a population. So it gets, and the reason why there is it's in the woman is because the sperm or the egg gets into, obviously is developed in the woman. It gives birth to somebody with that ERV coding, and then it gets fixed in the population. And there can be a number of reasons that happens that I'm happy to go into. So how do we know they're fossil viruses? So it's the LTR, or the long terminal repeats, that allow us to know that it is a viral element. So basically, if the viral element is in every single person, then we know that that insertion happened to a common ancestor of all the things with that viral element in it. Because don't forget, it can be 1 in 10 million places. So in order for two people for you to say that it happened separately, you would have to say that that 1 in 10 million happened for exactly the same virus for both of them. And there's a problem there. That is highly unlikely odds. So sort of why do we know that and sort of the testable prediction is if they're really endogenized retroviruses, they should have marks that the integrase has made this cut. Now, that prediction appears to be true every single time we examine these viral elements. They do have the duplication of the long terminal repeat in the DNA code. So what does it mean for evolutionary theory? So there's 10 million possible insertion points. In order to integrate the same DNA, the same virus, so it has to have inserted in a chimpanzee. If we share the same DNA for these viruses, they must have been the same virus, not a different virus, the same virus must have inserted at the same point in both chimpanzees and humans. So let's look at it as in it was two events that happened separately. One, well, if the chances of it happening are 10 million to 1, and we share 205 instances of this, you have a better chance of picking out a specified grain of sand on the beach. Way better chance. The likelihood of that happening is so ridiculous that you could pick out grains forever and it wouldn't happen. The alternative is that an ancestor millions of years ago, I'm not talking recently as in, oh, their father, no, millions and millions of years ago, they had a germline was infected, that was fixed in the population. Both the primitive primate, or even earlier, it could have been from a basic simple eukaryotic cell, evolved in two different directions, and that in turn still had that viral element fixed in both us and chimpanzees. And that is the way more likely scenario. The interesting thing is that when you go through the phylogenetic tree, or the tree of life that scientists have put together, the further away that something is related to us, the less viral elements they have like this. And the further something diverged from our particular branch of the tree of life, the less viral elements they have in common with us. Now, evolution also, sorry?
You've got about a minute, Mark.
Oh, thank you. I'm just going to quickly go through this. This is not an atheist sort of model or something trying to... A lot of Christians accept this and they still have faith. They still have, faith in a God. It doesn't... What I wanted to point out is evolution does not discredit a God. It doesn't disprove a God. It doesn't make it not exist. And I just want to point out Francis Collins, who is the head of it. I really respect his work. I don't agree with his religious beliefs, but he's welcome to them. The evidence supporting the idea that all living things have descended from a common ancestor is truly overwhelming. I would not necessarily wish that to be so as a Bible-believing Christian, but it is so. It does not serve faith well to try and deny that. And that's basically a very, very devout man who accepts what he sees in front of him. And I just want to sort of say to the Christians who don't believe evolution that your faith is great, but when it's getting in the way of the truth and scientific truth, maybe have a real think about it and a think about what's valuable to you. Whether that be the truth or whether it be your personal beliefs. And I'd like to thank you as well for your time.
Okay, thank you. Let me stop the timer there, Mark. I'll get the slides off the screen. Okay, that was exactly 14 minutes. So what we'll do is hand it over to Kent. Oh, no, that's fine, because it looks like most of the time was ERVs and chromosome 2 fusion. So I appreciate you, sticking to two main topics there in lines of evidence. So, okay, Kent, we're going to hand it over to you, and we're going to give you equal time, 14 minutes, and then we'll get into a discussion. Go ahead, Kent, whenever you're ready. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Very frequently, it's facts are established, and then the conclusions are drawn that are wrong. It's a fact. Almost all the cars in America have the steering wheel on the left side. Therefore, they're all related. No. All the cars in England, or most of them, have the steering wheel on the other side, the wrong side, I would say. And so it doesn't prove anything. In the movie The Green Mile, it was a fact 2 girls were missing. A massive manhunt was organized. Okay? That's a fact. It's a fact John Coffey is found holding the 2 dead girls in the movie. Okay? No question. That's a fact. So this is a bit of evidence. Here's the evidence. He's found holding the 2 dead girls. Okay, I agree. Everybody agrees on that. It's a fact. John Coffey is arrested and executed for the crime. In the movie, that's a fact. He was found holding the girls. He was arrested. He was tried. A jury found him guilty, and he's executed. All a fact. It's a fact. This guy did it, not John Coffey. They drew the wrong conclusion. I think what we've seen tonight from Mark, he has looked at things like genetic similarity, which is a fact. There's a lot of similarities. But what does that prove? Does that prove a common ancestor? No. It could prove a common designer. It could be nothing at all. But it doesn't prove a common ancestor. I'm going to keep track tonight of how many times he refers to time, millions of years or a long time ago. So far, we got quite a few. See, time is the hero to the evolutionist. How does an amoeba turn to anything else? Well, given enough time, stop. There isn't any, you can't have all that time. There's lots of reasons, scientific ways to prove the Earth is not billions of years old. That's not the debate tonight. But you keep track yourself. Keep a hash mark on your notepad there. Time is essential to the atheist and evolutionist. It can't happen in a short amount of time. Let's see. 2 more things I wanted to get here on this one, 1920, and then I'll go back to what I wanted to say here. The Bible says God formed the eye. The eye is incredible. There are a lot of similarities in the different eyes of different animals. That's a fact. Lots of similarities. Some they try to explain how it evolved slowly by a depression in the photosensitive photoreceptors. You can believe that if you want. And they say there are scars of evolution proving we have a common ancestor. No, the eye is incredibly designed, but they've got all the eyes going back to a common ancestor. They drew lines on paper and connected them. Well, that doesn't prove anything, okay? There are simple lens eyes, compound eyes, the simple corneal eye. I agree. Darwin said, to suppose that the eye could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd. Now, he went on to say he believed it anyway. And you mentioned something, Mark, tonight. A lot of scientists accept evolution. I want you folks listening to the debate to watch how many times they try to slip that word accept in. No, the word is believe. They believe in evolution. You can only accept something that's a fact and been proven true. It is not a fact, it's not been proven true that humans and chimpanzees have a common ancestor. Because all anybody's ever seen in the history of humanity is chimpanzees make baby chimpanzees every time. So if we see that going now, I guess we can assume it's been the same in the past. If you want to imagine that chimpanzees and humans have a common ancestor, that's not science. That's a religious belief. Humans always make baby humans. There are no exceptions, none. If you wish to believe they came from something else, that's your religion. So watch how many times he uses the word, you have to accept evolution. No, you don't accept evolution.
Lupe.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, man?
All right, just letting you know this is a rerun of a debate that Kent Hovind had with Mark
Oh, okay. No, you know what? Wait, before you go any further.
about evolution. That's the topic of the debate. Go ahead.
Yeah, before you go any further. The reason I wanted to come on and talk to you is because I was listening to the conversation on the previous channel, and Mark was making these points and stuff like that, right? But I wanted to tell him that science is all, modern science could probably be said to have been created
By Christians,
scientists,
Christian scientists. Yes, that is good. That is an interesting idea. Look, we could look into how Mark debates and what to expect from him because he does a lot of the similar
cows
things.
can jump. I accept that fact.
Well,
I believe there's a limit how high they can jump.
Of course.
They had trained cows to jump
I
higher and have
shouldn't really
rodeos
be
in
saying
Texas where they
this
jump the
behind
cows.
his
See who can
back
jump the
because
highest.
he's not
I
around.
think the whole
but
thing's dumb.
I was just letting you know that I almost got to say it, but I didn't get into the conversation. It's God's providence, right? But it is historically.
My mic is muted.
My mic is muted.
Mine was. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Historically, Christians have been basically the creators of modern science. James Clerk Maxwell, okay, he basically invented the law of electromagnetic what is it called? Electromagnetic science. Yeah.
All right, let's watch 15 minutes of the video and then we'll discuss.
Perfect. No, perfect. I just wanted to throw that in
But that's what
because
they do.
you're doing what you're doing.
If you took your cow to the gym and made him work out and took a lot of vitamins, do you think the cow could ever jump over the moon? Or is there a limit in there? I bet there's a limit how high cows can jump. I don't know if they've reached the limit yet or not. Next year, somebody might break the record, go a quarter inch higher. But they're not going to jump over the moon. Okay? So it's a fact they can jump, but it's not a fact that there's no limit to this. It's a fact there are variations within the genetic code. It's a fact there are over, 11,000 different species or 7,000 different species of apples. That's a fact. Therefore, does that prove apples are related to elephants? In your evolutionist mind, you don't get it. There are limits to all of these changes.
Ken is one of these amazing Christian. It's funny because Ken, you look at the guy and you think of a normal person, a normal Joe Blow, that likes to live life and loves to live out in the country, right? That's what you think of him, right? But this guy knows some of the most profound scientific relationships that can be found in the Bible and in regular physical science, and he is able to articulate it in a way that you and I can understand it. And you and I, you know that you and I speak in totally different languages, right? Lupe,
Claro que sí, man. Let me see. Let's go ahead and just play a little bit more
play,
here.
play.
There are limits to how far they can change. Yes, we can get 4,000 varieties of potatoes now. They might have had a common ancestor called a potato. And there's a limit. They've been trying to get bigger dogs for a long time. They got them up to the Great Dane. You think they'll ever get a dog as big as an elephant? No, there's a limit. Have they reached it? I don't know, probably getting close. But there are animals as big as an elephant, like an elephant. So I think you guys do not understand you don't accept the fact that there are monkeys with common ancestry. You can get that from standing.
All right, Kent just annihilates him here. Let's go on to a response. Let's see the response.
All these not appear.
Even goes into the periodic table.
500,000 stars. Anything else living stars forming every minute.
The galaxy.
So we see changes. So we see similarities of chromosomes from the soup.
Primordial soup. Macroevolution versus microevolution.
Organism.
He's demolishing it.
Kinds.
Let me see.
Oh my God, you are so right. There are all of that.
The bacteria, and let's
flagellum.
3 that you put on.
Wait,
man, my
2 to 3 topics, and for somebody that sits there and says, "Well, not too many," this is a scattershot. And so I just want to point out the dishonesty of that. And the Green Miles movie, Kent, it's not real, mate. It's not real. I just want to point that out. Now, first off, I'll address the Darwin thing, and we'll go through these one by one since you are nice enough to bring them all up. I noticed that you didn't really address my concerns at all. But for Darwin, what he said was that it seems like common sense that the eye could have been evolved. But he also mentioned it seems like common sense that the Earth could not be going around the sun. What he's basically saying is some things are counterintuitive, that you think that they are a certain.
All right, hello.
Yeah, I'm back.
Could you hear what he was saying?
I heard a little bit of what he was saying,
but I got no idea where he's trying to take this, dude. He's trying to take this into a black hole conversation.
Oh, he is like talking to an ancient British Australian sage.
I don't know. Let's see.
It's the way he talks. It's the way he talks.
And in this, you are exactly like flat earthers. You basically are saying, well, I can't believe that. It's an argument from incredulity. I can't believe that, therefore it's not true. And that's not the case. It's not the case at all. And so I'll address that one first and see what you've got to say about it. But I hope we can go through all of these, and I hope you can actually address what I've said instead of whatever scattershot this is.
Go ahead, Kent.
Okay, my computer's saving the program.
Kent is just
I agree. There are many topics, but see, you want to jump right into similarities between genetic similarities between animals. Where did these animals come from? How did life get started? It's a long process to get to living organisms at all. And I wish you guys would give an answer to that. Where did matter come from? Where did space come from? Where did time come from? Where did life come from? How did an amoeba learn to make arms? And your answer is always millions of years. So you gave 3 similarities. You said there are genetic similarities between a lot of different animals. I agree. That does not prove a common ancestor. We see animals producing babies today. Why don't they do it again? Why don't you get an ancestor why don't you get a chimpanzee or something similar to turn into a human again in the laboratory? Or pick something with a shorter generation time, like a bacteria or an amoeba. I found it here, 548, okay? Some unicellular organisms. According to the trees of life that you mentioned, these trees of life go back to a single-celled creature. 20,000 species are estimated to be in the ocean, different types of unicellular organisms. They're not simple. They're really complicated. The amoeba has a genome size of 670 trillion base pairs in an amoeba, which you can't even see without a good microscope. 670 trillion base pairs in the genome. I think it had to be designed. I don't know what's complicated about that. A lily, 90 trillion base pairs in the genome. And you show a picture of the dark and light sections of these, chromosome 2, etc. Unwind that thing and see if it's really similar, okay? I think I could pick up books out of my library. I could find a lot of books in here that have similar number of pages. Look, this book's got 300 pages and that one's got 304 pages. That proves they're related. No. I bet if we unwound it, looking at the letters in a sequence, we'd find a big difference. And I think you'd find a huge difference in humans and chimpanzees if you don't just count the number of chromosomes, but unwind that chromosome and type out the code. There's probably some similarities in how these animals make hair because it requires the same code. Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint have millions of lines of identical code. But they're different programs and they're designed, all of them are designed. So the code is designed. Humans only have 3.2 billion. Wow, what happened here? So saying it simpler, E. coli has 4,435 genes. It's complicated. You guys want to just make everybody accept the idea that it came by chance. You couldn't drop letters of the alphabet and form a sentence in eternity. It'll never happen. And then, of course, you'd have to answer who made the letters and who's dropping them. But you guys time is your hero. Mark, I wish you could see. You believe these things happen by chance over time. That's not science. Where is any animal today evolving into something else?
This is
you claim humans and chimps have a common ancestor. Where are we seeing it today? Go ahead.
This is a gish gallop again. You're basically throwing out thing after thing after thing after thing, so I can't respond. So I'll grab the time it takes to respond to each and every single one.
Are you there?
I think he represented his point fairly
Eloquently.
Yeah,
Eloquently.
Easier to follow than the other dudes.
For an Alabama boy from Georgia, from a whatever, where is he from? No, he's from Sweden, isn't he?
He's Norwegian.
Norwegian. All them Norwegians. See, Norwegians are some of the greatest farmers. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So they're some of the greatest. So animal husbandry is something that is really powerful with them. Okay. So they figured out that there's something out there that has these things. This thing, there's like a little program in there, and they do it with animals. They do it with grasslands. They do it with flowers. Oh my God, they're because the sun. Oh, it's crazy in the Northern Territories, and that's where Kent comes from. He comes from that background of people. So for them, they can literally understand the cell a lot better than the normal scientists would because they have that background.
You said a long process.
All right, cool. We can continue real quick. We might cut it off.
Yeah, no. Let's go.
Let's
hear the whole thing, but let's break in.
Well, they think that the best explanation is abiogenesis, but that's not theory like evolution is because it doesn't have the same level of support. Now, it seems to be the best explanation. I don't 100% believe in it. I don't know where it comes from, but not knowing where things come from doesn't invalidate the evolutionary fact, and that's where you've got it completely wrong. Evolution doesn't address where life came from. It only addresses diversification and common descent.
The Bible tells us where it comes from. but he's not getting it. He's not. He can. It's almost like he cannot get it.
Accept it. He can never accept it.
It's almost like he doesn't have the. I don't know. It's kind of hard to. That one's a hard one to explain because there are some people that struggle with faith.
A lot of people do.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? And Mark is a perfect example.
But they're very educated though. They're very
Yes.
educated, but
Oh no! I don't take. Look, I admire his level of intellect. It's like you're wanting to help him. You're wanting to. I wish he was here. I wish he would join us tonight. Look, I tell you what. I like the guy, and I respect the guy, and I can keep up with him. But there's a little bit of faith here involved. But at the same time, it shouldn't be that difficult to see when you're that smart. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, they learn to nothing almost.
It's hard to understand it.
And so you're basically making a straw man. For those in the audience, a straw man is when you can't attack the real person, you can't attack the real argument. So you pump a whole bunch of straw into a dummy and then whack away at that, thinking that makes you seem strong and big. But you're not actually addressing the argument, which is biological evolution, the diversity of life and not the origin. So you're completely missing that. And I've got a lot to go through here. Chimpanzee to human. As I said that specific example, that wouldn't happen, Kent, because nothing crosses branches of the tree of life. I'm not sure if you're getting older and you're just not listening or something like that, but I already addressed this. And the same for a unicellular organism. Why doesn't it do it again? Make complex life. It's probably in the process of doing so, but it's not like it will give birth to a human like you suggested, because that doesn't happen. You're talking about crossing branches on that phylogenetic tree, which doesn't happen. Primitive amoebas, yes, there were more primitive prokaryotes and simpler celled organisms back ages ago. And you're basically taking a modern contemporary example and going, oh, well, it's...
All right, I've lost complete track of what the point was of this conversation. Check if you're muted.
Okay, he's trying to say, you know me so well. Okay, he's trying to say that Ken just is building some kind of, he calls it straw man.
Yeah, and he called it a gish gallop. This dude just gish galloped all over to the straw man and
a straw man. I'm sorry, Mark. The one that is building the straw man is you. Okay. But look, Kenny, like, oh, he got some kind of graphic going on over there. Because in the end, and this is the thing, in the end, and Mark, I hope you're listening.
I have a challenge for Mark. I have a challenge for Mark.
In the end, okay, whether time, okay, or God's power were somehow intermingled, okay, it is still God's designed one cell organisms that prove his design. Okay, Mark? So, but I let Ken tell it much more funnier.
It's really
and
complicated.
Better.
Yeah, it's really complicated because the cells.
You want to finish? My bad.
No, you did that perfect. You almost like listened.
Back then were a lot simpler than they are today. Why? Because they've evolved.
My challenge would be for Mark to just tell me exactly. Okay, look, explain to me what this chart right here says.
Look, I don't even have to look at that chart, but basically what Kent is going to tell Mark is that any life, any life that we have been able to observe is a creation that comes from a design. Okay?
Yeah, they fight it though for some reason,
Well,
even though it's
so it
very
does.
obvious.
Okay. So let's say that I'm not a young creationist. I'm an older creationist or something like that. Whatever that's
Flat
called, right?
earther,
No,
round
no, no,
earther,
no, not flat earther.
a
No,
tubular. What if it's a tubular Earth?
excuse me, a black earth. I don't care. I I'm talking about evolution, not evolution, about Genesis now. Okay, if I am a young earther or an old earther, okay, in the scheme of things, because God says that one day can equal to 1,000, right? But what about if God also meant that we couldn't comprehend it, but one day could equal 1 billion years? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because
What's the most important message in the Bible?
it is his creation. He basically in the first verse of the Bible, he knocks out any what does it call it? The Big Bang Theory, any other theory. He basically says the way it was. The universe, the
And it was
creation of the
also
universe.
it was also written by men, and our word is inspired by God. So I mean,
No, no, no. It's like that. Those verses are not comprehensible to the human mind. It is why it's why it is. There's a record there. I'll prove it to you one day, but I'm not gonna get into that.
all right, let's
But
The books
continue.
have a number of
Ken
pages. I mean, this is just
understands it.
ridiculous.
Ken
A genetic code is
understands
not
it
pages. We're talking
from
about genetic code.
his
And you're basically
background
saying,
and
oh, it's
his mind
coincidence that they all
And
look
his
similar.
accent.
Just pure
perfectly
fluke.
geared
Just
to
a big
debate
coincidence. Like
argument.
books in pages have coincidentally have the same amount of page. It's not coincidence and it's not chance. Like natural selection doesn't operate by chance. Mutations arise by chance, but natural selection is deterministic. Whichever animal.
Mutations are like a degradation of genetic transfer. They never really result in positive.
Wait. Let me see if I can understand what that means. Mutations are what?
Always, almost there. We've done a lot of tests, nuclear tests, microwave tests, and mutations generally do not benefit anything. So it's a part of genetic transference, genetic
Okay,
degradation.
no, that's exactly what I thought he had said, but I just couldn't remember to articulate it in, you know how that is. I mean, the way this guy speaks is very difficult to keep up with. Okay, but it's exact that. But what he's saying is, it, he is basically nuking his own argument.
Right.
He is
So
new because he's basically
a neutron star
he's bringing up the
binary.
argument. Yeah, he's bringing up the argument of mutations, right? And then he goes on and he explains that mutations are not necessarily good. Okay, and in nature we see what mutations they die off. Mutations are not, the designer does not allow for mutations in most ways.
Yeah,
Do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I do, and
So-
it's very
So
specific.
he brought up mutation, but mutation is counter to his argument
Once you
because
succeed.
what he wants is for mutations to be able to exist, to be able to continue. No proof of that really exists.
And there is a little bit of chance involved, but it isn't complete chance. There is a process at work here. Millions of lines of identical code for some program. Yeah, but code, when you copy it, it doesn't create mutations. It doesn't change, does it, Ken? You copy your Word or your copy of Windows, it stays exactly the same. And that's what you're missing.
True.
There are processes at work here that you're not accounting for.
Absolutely not true. Absolutely.
If they transfer that code and there's just a single quote off or a single parenthesis or semicolon, if any of that is misplaced, that'll crash the whole thing.
Absolutely. And not only that, but if you do it with craft, okay, if you do it by malevolent thoughts, okay, what you're doing is you are corrupting, you are hurting the code. And people try to do that. But in the end, what God says is that, no, I am in control of the code. There's no way for anyone to hack into my code.
Right. If your God says he's the God of all gods, then why would you worship a sub-God?
Well, not only that, but in the intellect of someone that could conceive the power for somebody to override the code. Basically, God says, nope.
God does not like that to be tampered with.
No, and we
that is proven by historical records.
Exactly. It is proven by nature. Nature tells us we cannot destroy nature. Nature will destroy us before we can destroy it. I mean,
that goes back to the flood.
Yeah, exactly. Because we are a creation of God in a specific context. But that one right there, they'll never understand. But in the end, that's the designer. That's what the designer means. That's what the creator means.
All right, we got a couple comments.
Let them come.
Let's see, this is the most important message in the Bible, Revelations 21:7, King James. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son.
Oh Lord, and this is the thing. What chapter of Revelations was that?
That was 21:7.
21:7. Okay, I'm not sure how that plays in the structure of Revelations, but in reality, all that says is that Christ is Lord of all creations. Go back to that verse again. He overcame for us.
4:18. Dan 4:18. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Thou, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof, forasmuch as all wise men of my kingdom are not available. I need a different translation on that one.
Oh yeah, read it in the NASB.
You have to be an aristocrat. All right, let's play like 5 more minutes of this.
Yeah. Let's do it.
It's a 2-hour long debate.
No, I like it. This is very good because I wanted to talk to Mark today, but I never got a chance to. But anyway, it's all right. Go ahead, play it.
All right. Well, thanks for the comments, Yora. We appreciate your participation and your verses. It's always good to even study these.
I'm not gonna accept that they exist. When they're copied, they're exactly the same. That is not what's happening. As you've pointed out, they do change. Organisms change, and you've already admitted that. Now, time isn't my ally. It's just the age of the earth. It's just what nearly every
Organisms change. Okay, so I would say they got speciation. Speciation's a not.
No. Kent never said that.
Yeah, but no.
He's trying to say that Kent said that, but no, Kent has never said that. Kent has always stood.
He has said it.
By
he has
the
said
fact
it,
that
but he's
every
backed it up with
organism,
science.
Kent.
I'll explain after you finish.
Okay, Kent's main thesis is this: all our organisms have a design. Okay, they can go extinct, they can survive. Okay, but they come from a design. There is no debate about that in creation, period. In science, really, there is no debate for that, except for some of these people that have tried to basically confuse things.
Sure. Some people seem like they're out there to do that but I don't think they even realize it, but maybe they do.
Well, you know what? That's a very good question, worthy of a panel all of its own. But the truth is that you can't can't understand it, because you would think that they would understand this, but it's a mystery. It's one of those mysteries in life that God allows so that life can be as powerful as it really is.
Yeah, if you want to ask questions about it, that's fine. It doesn't bother me if he has a few minutes to speak, but afterwards, usually it's a Bible study. We'll let somebody in who can explain themselves for about an hour, and then
No, absolutely. I want to listen to the Ken and Mark debate, because they are both very articulate. Okay.
yeah, but
And they
different types of
they try to, and they're having to deal with one of the most powerful things that a man can deal with is, how do you say something true? Okay, and
you have to know the truth. You have to know the truth.
Well,
not your truth, not anybody. You have to know the truth.
It's part of the design.
And it's written right there for you. You understand all these other complex stuff, but you refuse to go.
It's part of the design, but some people have the capability to kind of like push it back somehow, like they don't feel it.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Let's play a couple more minutes and we'll be finished here.
Single scientist on the face of the earth agrees with, through multiple different fields, and the only people that think the earth is younger are people with a vested faith interest in it.
This isn't about
evolution
earth being
science.
young.
There are
it's
testable
about
predictions
evolution.
we can make. There are things that we can test. There's experiments that we can do. It absolutely is science, and that was actually determined in a court of law. And I'm sure you're familiar with court of law, Kent. That ID,
low blow,
intelligent design, is not
absolutely low blow. I want to hit him back.
Yeah,
I'm not in the age of the lamb. No, sir. I want to hit him back with the truth.
It's I don't know. Turn the other cheek, I guess, for right now.
While evolution
but I understand what you're saying.
Absolutely is. Kitzmiller versus Dover.
Okay, Mark, you rely on this genetic code being copied and copied and copied and turning into.
And every time it's copied, it gets degraded. Every time. So it goes against the evolutionary theory. It says that we were much stronger back in the golden ages.
No, but it's still the genetic.
And
No,
we
no, no.
are
Wait. Listen.
so we're going to be androids in the future.
Okay, listen. That's what Mark wants, but no, the genetic code, the genetic code, the genetic code survives because God designed it to survive.
To what extent? All right, let's finish this up here.
Okay, the genetic
Something
code
else. Okay.
survives because God wants it to survive. Okay, He created it that way. He designed him that way.
Okay. All right, I agree. This is I'm still like I still haven't found Mark Reid. I haven't figured out the point of his statements or anything like that. It's a real contrasting debate style. You have somebody that explains it very simple, and somebody is just trying to confuse you.
No, okay.
Confuse
You said confused. I said diffuse.
Try.
Okay.
They'll try. This is like trying to use complex terms that not even they understand, but they use it to.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It does.
We've never seen that.
It does work.
You can believe that. I took a piece of paper, Darwin's book, copied the page out of on a copy machine. I ran the copy through the copy, then ran the copy of the copy through the copier. After 5 generations, here it is. After 10 generations, there it is. After 15 generations, there it is. It's hardly readable. If you think you're a copy off a copy off a copy for billions of generations back to an amoeba or some single-cell creature, this is not logical. That the code could gain. Nobody's ever seen it gain information. It loses information every time it's copied. We don't see. Science is what we can observe. And when you say evolution is science, you're thinking of a different meaning of the word evolution than I am. I agree, variations happen. We now have hundreds of varieties of cows, 250 varieties of cows, mostly bred by man to get more milk or more beef or stand the heat better or something like that. And most of them wouldn't survive in the wild, but there's 250 kinds of cows, had a common ancestor called a cow. That's where it stops. But you don't see.
It is so simple.
Do you believe a cow has a common ancestor with you, Mark Reid? Do you have a common ancestor with a cow?
Yes, we do. We have a common ancestor, millions.
Incredible.
Of years ago, when the primates split off from other animals.
No,
but you're basically, we've never seen something copied and turn into something else. Well, I want to ask you, and you've already admitted that we do see animals changing over time.
So he just admitted that he's related to a cow. Is that what I heard?
Well, no, he doesn't want to accept
when
that.
The primates split off from other animals. But you're basically, we've never seen something copied and see, that mechanism. You can limit pieces of false that are new information. And I really would like you to, as you started, complain that
A wolf, coyote, and a banana.
The visuals and the opening.
That's what you do. You draw a line on paper between a human and a bird and a dinosaur and a ladybug and broccoli or tree and a worm and say, see, common ancestor. This is pure propaganda. This is absolute stupidity to teach this as science. This isn't science. This is a bunch of lines drawn on paper. There are no transitional fossils. I want to get to something else here about the so-called simple living single ancestor. Let's see, right here. They say we all came from a single, let's see, all the many forms of life on.
Dude, he just slammed him right there. Let's get a little replay of that.
We shouldn't use it, but they do. Variation group of organisms can jump or and a ladybug and broccoli or tree and a worm and say, see, common ancestor. This is pure propaganda. This is absolute stupidity to teach this as science.
Bam.
This isn't science.
Bam, bam, bam.
This is a bunch of lines drawn on paper.
Bam.
There are no transitional fossils. I want to get to something else here about the so-called simple living single ancestor. Let's see, right here. They say we all came from a single, let's see, all the many forms of life on Earth today came from a primitive unicellular organism. There is no such thing as a primitive unicellular organism. No such thing. But they draw these lines on paper back to, boy, I got the wrong button here. Let's see. Dogs and wolves. I'm going to have to get back to home page. Primitive unicellular organism. I'm so sorry here. And I'm going to run out of time. I'll just do it this way.
Okay. While he's finding it, what he's trying to tell him is that there is the most primitive single cell organism has a characteristic similar to the most complex, and that is that their cell, their DNA, is a program, and a program shows design.
All right, I'm gonna close the stream out here in a minute.
Boom.
Do you? Okay, let me ask you this: do you think debates like this have any impact?
Maybe for some, but not much. I really don't. No, that's a whole separate issue. But I do kind of feel a little bit guilty that I'm talking kind of like in a third person to Mark, and he's not present.
Sure.
So I kind of feel a little uncomfortable.
Maybe next time. Maybe next time. I
feel a little uncomfortable for that. And if Mark ever sees this, look, Mark, I just wanted to talk to you when you were on the previous panel tonight, okay? For the record, I just want to tell you that that's what it was. But Lupin put this debate up, and I couldn't help but comment on your stuff. But I will more than gladly debate you on any issue, okay? Like friends, not like enemies, like friends.
Okay.
And it's all about the truth. It's all about the truth.
Amen. Let's seek the truth here. You just have to be
the truth,
open-minded, open-hearted.
No, the truth. You know who claimed to be the truth?
Jesus.
That's right. I'll leave it there.
The truth, the way, and the life.
The door. Stephen. And what is Ryan? I want to talk to you guys about that door to the temple.
Let's see. Hold on.
The door to the temple, to the entrance. The Jews had a copy of the tabernacle, okay, before anyone in history did. This is why it's so powerful about the Jews, man. This is why I give them a lot of credit. Yeah,
well, yeah,
that door. See the entrance. See the entrance. The entrance is the door. Look on the right-hand side. Oh, okay. Oh, you're killing me.
One sec. Yeah, here we go.
It's just the prominent, that door in the center. Look, see that door in the center? That's what Christ said he was. That. Right there. Yes.
The truth.
And and once you went inside of there, everything else was about him. Everything else was a type about Christ. Oh Lord, it's so powerful. This is why I cannot hold a grudge against the Jews. And the Bible says that that's what's going to happen. You know, they're going to be grafted. They're going to be grafted. Yeah, all of that typology is about Christ. Every single thing in there is about Christ, the Lamb of the sacrifice, the priest, the different levels of the temple. All of it is about Christ. Remember the last curtain. Remember when you and Stump and I were talking about that last curtain that was split by itself in half? That was part of the temple. That was the curtain between the holy and the holy of holies. Huh. Oh yeah. All of that was the cross. The way the shape of the camp was like a cross. They can't handle that one. Oh,
I accidentally left. We're about to close it down anyway. I just wanted to present a few things. Yeah, I'm gonna close it down. I accidentally hit the back button. Do you think they consider? Do you think this fulfills a messianic prophecy?
all of it is messianic prophecy.
Okay.
Wait.
I'll leave it at that.
Hold up.
All right.
No,
I'll let you
hold
finish.
up. No, hold up. Look, all of it is messianic prophecies. But the problem with prophecy is that sometimes prophecy seems it's going to do something, and then all of a sudden it changes, and then it ends up this way and that the other way.
It becomes a pattern.
No, you can't always determine what's happened. Prophecy is a spiritual thing in a physical world, okay? And
Sure.
it's very difficult to deal with. In other words, Daniel did not understand his prophecies. His prophecies were fulfilled much longer after he died. Okay, he just prophesied it and he put it down on paper. The thing about biblical prophecy is that it's written down. Okay, it's like Daniel prophesied stuff that was going to happen 400 years later, 700 years later, 1200 years later. Okay, Daniel prophesied it, and it went and it became fulfilled with history in certain ways, but it fit perfectly in Daniel's prophetic writings. Okay, so you can't really, the person that is living in their normal state, in their normal lifetime, in their normal life, okay, their normal reality, they can't determine what prophecy is going to do, how it's going to end, how it's going to fulfill. Okay,
Well, it gives us hints. All right, but I want to close it
but you're
down.
going to have but we're dealing with prophecy
That
that
is
is
yet to be
going,
fulfilled.
that is yet to be fulfilled. Correct. Future end times. but the Bible does throw in a lot of information that you can kind of like, we're here. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's going to be a very interesting future. And
yeah, every day, more and more biblical prophecy gets fulfilled. That is the crazy thing about it. Huh. Right. It's like more and more every day we get more Bible prophecy fulfilled. Anyway, okay, Amen. Yeah, you want to shut it down? Yep. I love you, Lupin. Great talking to you tonight.
You too. Let's see. Let's go ahead and close it out. Thanks for the participants. And we're going to get out of here.
Bye.
And flood your mind. When you think you're going down, when you think you're not going to make it, when you think you're going to fail God, or you've not measured up, when the enemy comes in and tells you that you're unworthy, you're unholy, you're no good, you'll never get it. What do you do when the enemy comes in like a flood? You see, the Lord raises up a standard. Let me show you what that standard is. Look at verse 1. The Lord reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. And he's put on his armor and set for battle. You have to have a clear vision that your Lord and Savior is standing by. His eyes on your flood, his eyes on you. You have to have a clear vision of what God has promised here. I've not ignored you. I see where you're at. I see what you're going through. Look at me. He says, I have girded myself. I put on my armor. I have my sword in hand. And then read what it says, verse 4. The Lord on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, yea, than the mighty waves of the sea. God says, get your eyes off the flood, get it on me. I've got my sword in hand. I am more powerful. I am mightier than all your floods. I'm bigger than all your fears. Get your eyes off your fears. He said, I've girded myself. That hit me. I could hardly sleep. I picture my Lord standing over me, sword in hand. He knows how far it can go and no farther. He'll come and slay the dragon in his time. And he's saying, now you just stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You just put your trust in me right now. Don't be afraid.